One coin did not destroy Rome, but one coin revealed something terrifying. By the late 3rd century, the Roman Empire still looked powerful from the outside. Its armies still marched across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Its emperors still appeared on coins as gods, warriors, and saviors. And in the markets of Rome, people still bought bread, oil, wine, tools, and cloth using imperial money. But something was wrong. The coins in people's hands were no longer what they seemed. For centuries, Roman money had carried a kind of promise. A silver coin was not just metal, it was trust. Trust that the empire was strong. Trust that soldiers would accept it. Trust that merchants would sell goods for it. Trust that tomorrow, the same coin would still mean something. But during the 3rd century, that trust began to crack. Rome was trapped in one of the most dangerous periods in its history. The crisis of the 3rd century. Emperors rose and fell quickly. Civil wars broke out. Frontiers came under pressure. Armies became more expensive, and every new ruler needed money fast, not just to govern, but to survive. Because in Rome, an emperor who could not pay the army usually did not stay emperor for long. So the state turned to one of the easiest tricks in history. It made more money, but not by finding more silver, by putting less silver into the coins. At first, the change was subtle. A coin still looked silver. It still carried the emperor's face. It still had official value. But inside, the precious metal was slowly being replaced by cheaper metals like copper and bronze. To the average person, the coin may have looked almost the same, but it was becoming less real. The most important coin in this story is often called the Antoninianus. It had been introduced earlier in the 3rd century and was officially treated as more valuable than the old denarius, but over time, its silver content collapsed. By the years before Aurelian, some Roman silver coins contained only a tiny amount of silver. They looked like money, they sounded like money, but everyone could feel that something was changing. Prices were rising, merchants were becoming cautious, people began to prefer older, better coins, and confidence in the system became fragile. Then came Emperor Aurelian. Aurelian was not a weak ruler, he was one of the most capable emperors of the crisis. He reunited parts of the empire, fought enemies, restored authority, and tried to bring order back to a collapsing system. And in 274 AD, he attempted to fix Roman money. His reform introduced improved coins. They were better made than many of the terrible coins that had come before. They were broader, cleaner, more consistent, and marked with symbols like 21 or KA, which many scholars connect to the coin's metal standard. To the government, this was supposed to restore confidence. A new coin, a stronger image, a message to the empire. Rome is still in control, but money is not only metal, money is belief, and belief is dangerous when it breaks. Because when the government changes the currency, people start asking questions. What was the old coin really worth? What is the new coin really worth? Why did Rome need to reform the money at all? And if the emperor can change the value today, what stops him from changing it again tomorrow? This is where the story becomes bigger than Aurelian. For decades, Rome had managed to keep coins circulating even as their silver content declined. People accepted them because the state accepted them. Taxes, salaries, markets, and military payments all helped support the illusion of value. But Aurelian's reform may have made the hidden problem visible. Instead of calmly restoring trust, it may have forced people to confront what they already suspected. Roman money was no longer stable. In parts of the empire, especially in the evidence from Roman Egypt, prices appeared to rise dramatically after this period. Some scholars describe a major price jump beginning in the 200s and 70s and connect it to a break in public confidence after Aurelian's reform. That does not mean Aurelian personally caused Rome's collapse, and it does not mean one coin destroyed the empire overnight. The truth is more frightening. The empire was already bleeding. The coin simply showed the wound. Imagine a merchant in a crowded Roman market. A customer places a shiny imperial coin on the table. The emperor's face is stamped clearly on the surface. The coin says, "Rome is powerful. Rome is eternal. Rome decides value." But the merchant hesitates because he knows the coin may buy less tomorrow. He knows the silver inside is not what it used to be. He knows that if he sells his grain today, he might not be able to replace it tomorrow. So he raises his price. Another merchant does the same, then another. Soon the problem is everywhere. The coin still exists, but trust does not. And once trust disappears, money becomes just metal. This is why inflation is not only an economic problem, it is a psychological one. When people believe in money, an empire can move armies, collect taxes, build roads, and feed cities. But when people stop believing, the whole system slows down. Trade becomes harder, saving becomes risky, prices become unstable, and the state must fight harder just to make people accept its own currency. Years later, Emperor Diocletian tried to control prices with his famous edict on maximum prices in 301 AD. That alone shows how serious the problem had become. Rome was not just fighting enemies at the border, it was fighting panic inside its own economy, and panic is almost impossible to command. Aurelian's coin was meant to restore order, but it became part of a much larger story. The moment Rome's money stopped feeling trustworthy, the empire did not fall in one day, and it did not fall because of one coin, but every empire depends on invisible things: trust, confidence, belief, the belief that a ruler is strong, the belief that an army will be paid, the belief that a coin in your hand today will still matter tomorrow. And when that belief begins to die, even gold cannot save it. Sometimes the most dangerous collapse is not when walls fall, it is when people look at the money in their hands and no longer believe in the empire behind it.